significance as well as biblical significance, and it clarifies what our legacy as melanated people or black people of African descent.
Fair enough. So we follow that, because that's important news, right? I mean, for us to look at the backstory to find out who was leading the charge, whose strategy was it that allowed Ethiopia to be prepared for such an attack, right? So when we look at, you talked about a lot of the other nations were colonizing, most nations were colonizing. You know what that means, colonized? Anyone? Tell me what that means to you in your own definition. Anyone? Students, come on. What does it mean to be colonized? Yes, please.
To be taken over, stripped of culture, identity, language.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was taking place, and they called it, is there someone coming?
Yeah, she's coming.
Tell her she's welcome to come on.
Come on in, take a seat.
Hi.
Greetings.
So the
Greetings,
scramble
sister.
for Africa. So here we are, all these European nations were just scrambling to take advantage of Africa. Not just for its people, but of course its rich resources. So one thing that I noticed is that Ethiopia was pretty defiant when it came to slavery. Right? And so I think it's important that you understand that this was an empire, a kingdom, right, that was looking at slavery for what it was, and was recognizing that, you know what, as people of faith, as Christians in that particular time, they said we can't condone this kind of behavior. And it took years and years and generations of leadership for that to eventually be implemented, right? So you mentioned that there was an Emperor Menelik II, but prior to him, we had another emperor.
Yes, Emperor Johannes IV, and then prior to, who was the 223rd Emperor of Ethiopia, and prior to him was Emperor Tawakhidros II, who fought off the British army. There's many wars against the colonizers who tried on many occasions to colonize the last standing empire of the ancient Africans. So, yes.
And so we would like to credit Emperor Haile Selassie.
Yes, sir.
For being able to carry on the tradition of all the emperors and the focus to eliminate slavery, to be able to finally implement it. But he also gave credit in his autobiography to all his predecessors that, you know, this is something that we wanted to do for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm. I just want to comment on the abolition of slavery and things like that. It was actually Emperor Menelik II who abolished slavery in Ethiopia, not Haile Selassie, his predecessor. So what I want you to understand is that no slave routes could ever come anywhere near Ethiopia because it was something that was abolished out of the empire. So while they had many different slave ships coming out of the African continent, mostly out of being taken from Arabs, slaves from Arabs and of the Europeans as well. Because we have to remember that we have to be brutally honest. If we want to look and get into the depths of the times, it was the Arabs who had shown the Europeans how to get into the depths of Africa, and this is the truth. So, you know, to understand our story, we have to get further into the mystery instead of the his story. So, yes.
But it also gives us a snapshot of where Africa was and how critical Ethiopia was to not only fighting off the colonists into invading Ethiopia, but it was the last stand of Africa. I mean, this was their final, this was their attempt, right? This was that moment where the world wanted to cave in and close in on Africa, right, and take full ownership. And it took Ethiopia to be able to actually successfully push off that global effort to colonize all of Africa.
Yes. So I'm glad and happy to be here, to see everyone here. I just want to, if I can, I just want to touch on the colors of the flag and what it represents.
Please.
So it's very similar to the Pan-African flag. Marcus Garvey had a lot of pro-Ethiopian philosophies. If you really look into his speeches and hear a lot of what he says, it was pro-Ethiopia. Unto the Ethiopians and the mighty continent, da 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 da, yo. it's real, like, you know, because he recognized the significance of that last stand, like Brother DeWitt said. So, the red represents the blood of the people. Now, the yellow represents the richness in the minerals, the raw minerals, and the richness within the continent of itself and the country of Ethiopia, or the nation of Ethiopia. And green represents the land of its people. Now, the Lion of Judah, yeah, as you can see, the pole that the lion is holding represents Christianity in its purest form, Tawahado, the Orthodox Christians of Ethiopia. And the crown represents the Solomonic dynasty of the Ethiopians. And the Lion of Judah represents the Lion of Judah with the scepter of the 12 tribes of Israel. And this is a flag that has been ancient for thousands of years. It's been present in the Ethiopian regime. All of the regimes. And these are very significant things. Now, this is not ancient history, but it is still prevalent today. But now, currently, the flag has changed a little bit. But just the significance of the time. Like I said, the Battle of Adwa, this was the flag that they were carrying. And the Ethiopian monarchs were ruling under this banner.
Anyone know what part of Africa has the most, would say, most apparent sign of colonialism? Just visually, like if you just show up, if you just decided to take a plane anywhere and just do a dart at the map and say, and that's where you ended. Yes? South Africa. Yes. What were we going to say?
It's subjective, but I would say Angola because of so Angola is the second largest oil producer in Africa, right?
Mm.
And all of their offshore oil rigs are not owned by Angola; they're owned by Americans. And all of this oil that's being produced by Angola is being transported to China. Therefore, this is neo-colonialism. So
Right.
you see apparent signs of not the former type of colonialism, but economic colonialism with these forms.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you raised your hand and shared that because I mean that is exactly something that needs to be shared because from a commercial point of view, that is where we're hurting the most, right? But you mentioned South Africa, and that is where you know many people, as the independence of African countries started to happen, people started to migrate themselves, find themselves comfortable, and seek refuge in South Africa. But I wanted to give you an idea of what Africa looked like while Ethiopia was fighting back. It was surrounded by already colonized places that it wasn't just colonized, even the names of the places changed. Right? I mean, this is what happens when you're colonized. You don't get to keep anything. Right? So we're talking about Italian Somaliland. That was on the map, ladies and gentlemen. All right?
Yes. I think it was French Somaliland as well. Yeah.
It was British Somaliland.
Yeah.
And so they shared Somali, right? Can you imagine that this was impermissible and acceptable for these foreign nations to come in and just claim land fully occupied by people through the acts of war? And sometimes some of the treaties that they provided were also on record to be crooked. So I read a story about how when the Emperor Menelik was actually negotiating, that they provided two treaties, one in Italian and one in the native language, and they were different. And he was able to catch that, and that goes to being smart and wise.
That's the power of language.
The power of language.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do your math, or do your homework, I should say, prior to the Battle of Ottawa, there was another defeat that the Italians suffered, right? And that was called the Battle, right here, the Battle of, I want to say, Dogala. How would you pronounce that, brother?
The Gali.
The Gala?
Yes.
So this happened prior. And it was a smaller defeat, basically ambushing Italian armies.
1887. Yeah, that was the turning point that actually started Adwa. That kind of ignited the fire or reignited the fire if we really want to get deeper. But that ignited the fire for the first Italo-Ethiopian War in 1896. Yes, which is like 9 years later. So it's very interesting because Italy and Ethiopia have a very ancient relationship. And, I feel it is very important for all of us to do our due diligence and study the true history and the true mystery as well. Because, if you study, not all of the things you find on the internet are going to be truthful. Everyone has their own angles and motives for what they post. So you have to find a way to dig deeper. Now, in terms of Pan-Africanism and being a Pan-Africanist, I believe that there's nowhere else to look if you were going to look on the continent other than Ethiopia, if we really want to know our roots and our truths. And I'm speaking to those of African descent in the room.
Well, Pan-Africanism is a worldwide movement. So you young brothers are continuing the good work, right, and the fruitful work, right, of organizing.
And sisters.
Of course, absolutely. Of organizing, right, a platform so that we can be heard, respected, right, and that we can grow, right, because that's one thing that's most necessary, is that we take some time to heal and take some time to actually become one so that we can operate in unison. And to really encourage and strengthen the bonds of solidarity between people of African descent. The kind of conversations we had around this flag at City Hall were people from all over Africa, right? Wherever you were able to tap your roots, you were able to have a moment of unity, right?
True.
That right there was something that people have never experienced. And it opens up the possibilities. It opens up your mind to who you are and what you can truly be if we are able to operate in a